Hi, I'm Corrine. Welcome to Goodbye Gluten, where
saying goodbye to gluten does not mean saying goodbye to great food and great taste.
So please like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to our channel.
So today we are making homemade bone broth. We're going to use our crock pot and some chicken bones and make this glorious liquid gold right here. So let's see what we're going to need. So here's what we'll need. We've got some chicken bones with some different bits and pieces of meat. We also have part of an onion. We have a carrot. We have some celery. This is a great use for the innards of your bunch of celery. Then for seasoning, we're going to need some salt. We're going to add some oregano, some thyme, black pepper, and about a half gallon or so of water. So let's assemble this. We're going to use our crock pot. First, I'm going to put in my carrot and my celery. They kind of create a base. Now, if you want a sweeter broth, you could use more carrot. If you want a little bit more tang, you could absolutely use more onion or celery. If you like garlic or can eat it, you can absolutely add garlic to it. This is where saving things like the tops of your carrots or these ends that you would normally cut off. Usually I have all this in a baggie in the freezer that I can use for soup. We're out currently. So now the next thing is we will add our chicken. Greg deboned a chicken for me the other day and we've got the skin, the fat, all that good stuff. Just throw that in there. Kind of give everything a little bit of a zhuzh, so to speak. Now we're going to add our black pepper. Just a few cracks. Again, this is where seasoning everything is to taste. So if you like more pepper, go ahead and add it. If you like, whatever you like. Do be cautious on your green herbs such as your oregano and basil. It is possible to do too much. And then you end up turning your broth green. Ask me how I know. We've got some thyme coming in here. And then a generous amount of salt. I'm going to start with a tablespoon. It seems like a lot, but this is going over a full crock pot full of broth. In fact, I'm going to add an extra half tablespoon. So 1.5 tablespoons of salt. Now we add our water. This is just regular room temperature water. We want, well, a little bit steamy. Just straight out of the faucet. We want to fill the crock pot. Probably add a little bit. So we're filling the crock pot. Just about full. You want to leave a little bit of space. That way if it does boil, you don't have to do anything. We cover. We're going to turn it to low and then cover it with a dish towel, set it aside. So we're going to let this go for about 8 hours. I like to do it overnight right before I go to bed. Stick it in an area of your kitchen or on your counter where it's not going to be disturbed. You really want to set it and forget it. All right, so it's the next day. We let our chicken stock go for about 18 hours. As I mentioned yesterday, 8 hours is about your minimum in a crock pot. If you're using an Instant Pot, follow the directions with that. That'll take less time, but I love this slow roasted chicken stock. What I have with me now is a big a slotted strainer as well as my colander over a big bowl. This is what I'm going to empty all of the bones and big vegetable pieces. Again, gathering all those juices. And then I have some jars that I'll put it into. If you're into canning and you want to then put this through your pressure canner, you can absolutely do that. We'll use this up pretty quickly. It'll be good in your refrigerator for about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a little more. And then I have a large pitcher with a strainer to strain the broth even more. So first things first, take off your towel, take off your lid. Oh, look at all that steam. This smells absolutely amazing. You want to let this cool down just a little bit, so unplug it, let it cool slightly, because again, you don't want to be dealing with boiling hot broth. Set that aside. Turn this a little bit, and then I'm going to start scooping out all of the vegetables, all of the chicken bones. These have given us their all. So we're going to do that real quick.
Could you eat those?
I don't think so. My cameraman just asked, could you eat these? Well, maybe, technically, but honestly, these look pretty sad. And the meat that's in here after 18 hours is the equivalent of sandpaper or sawdust, so I don't usually eat the meat that I pull out.
So, quality pig feed.
Alright. Got most of the big chunks out. Maybe a little bit more. And there's definitely still chunks in here, but I've got the big stuff out. So now, right, this is where a large measuring cup or something with a handle, maybe a small pitcher, works well, because you want to be able to scoop it out and then pour it in through the strainer. And what we're doing is getting the rest of these little bitty particles out. Once I have most of it out of the crock pot, at that point I'll be able to lift it up and do this. But if you haven't figured it out, I'm a little short, so stuff like this is sometimes challenging. My fellow petite people can sympathize with me, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Especially the big tall husband. You want me to pour it?
Yeah. We're gonna have the big tall husband come pour it. And
Last thing I want to do is spill this on my feet.
why don't you take it by the handles?
That, so I can grab it like that. Okay, you're gonna have to go ahead.
Put it on the towel.
Yeah. Pour that into your jar so I can finish.
So you can see by doing the straining, we get a little bit more stuff. Put that there. And now, because we've put it into a pitcher, I can now pour it into my jars. And what I like to do is line them up, do about 3 at a time. And then because this is hot and these jars are not, I'm going to pour just a little bit into each of these glass jars. If you're using other containers that aren't glass, you could definitely fill it all the way up. But this gives the jars a little bit of time to warm up, acclimate, because this is still pretty hot liquid. Fill it up. The other thing about doing it this way is it distributes that fat throughout. You can absolutely skim the fat off. I like to leave it on because number one, fat is flavor. This is what makes this taste good, but also it will actually create a little bit of a seal. If anybody remembers your grandmother canning and putting the wax on the top of the jelly jars, anybody remember that? I always hated the jelly after my grandmother did that. We'll pour the rest in here real quick. I think we've probably got about...
Oh, it smells really good. Way better than Campbell's or Progresso. Thank you.
And remember, if your crock pot has a ceramic insert, You want to make sure to keep setting it on a towel or hot pads. Do not set it on a cold surface or you will break your crock pot. Let's finish filling this. Oops, that didn't. Tail end. Oh, look at that. So typically my crock pot will make about 4.5 cups or 4.5 quarts. You can see I've got this here. All right, well there you have it. We have 4 full quarts and a half quart of homemade chicken stock. You can use this in making chicken soups. You can just drink this straight up. Especially if I'm sick or not feeling well, I love some good bone broth to drink. Kind of soothes my soul. Remember what we always say here at Goodbye Gluten. Saying goodbye to gluten does not mean saying goodbye to great food and great taste. Thank you.